approve that change to item 3. Under conflict of interest on, it's going to be page, oh, I don't have a page here. B, rights and duties of members, number 4C. That would read exactly the same as
Is
what
you
was
gave
just
us.
approved.
Yeah.
It's page 2, yeah. Okay, any more discussion on that? Can I get a motion? Did you
I
make the
think-
motion?
Wasn't that a move?
That was a motion. Can I get a second?
I second the motion.
Okay. Got a motion from Councilmember Taylor and a second from Councilmember Wilson. Let's go ahead and vote. Councilmember Wadman, yes. Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson.
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor.
Yes.
Okay, pass. Now let's go to business item 1. Site plan Jacob Ranch, Marketplace 7.
We'll have Austin join us.
Austin.
Good to see you, Austin.
And we can't, yeah.
Austin, is your microphone on, and
Yeah.
can you make it very close?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Much
you
better.
almost have
Yes.
to be eating it.
It looked like the light was on, but I guess it wasn't on. Okay. So this is lot 7. Yes, here we go. On. Okay, we're working. Okay, so for the sake of brevity, I've combined lot 7 and lot 8 into a single slide presentation tonight. They're both neighboring lots in the Jacobs Ranch development.
Austin, microphone closer.
Okay. Location 1873 and 1853 South Redwood Road. You can see that location here. The zoning is regional commercial, which you see there in the red. There were a couple items that we marked as shall comply, one being the lighting. They showed some light fixtures on the plans that were not black, so that's been redlined. And then the sign regulations have been marked as shall comply. They will have to submit a separate sign plan at a later date. You can see here, this is the Lot 7 site plan. It's a 2-suite building. The 2 buildings that they have here will be restaurants. They do have adequate parking and landscaping for that. Lot 8 is a bigger building, has 4 suites in it, and right now they're showing 2 retail spaces and 2 vacant suites where they're not sure what's going to go in there yet. That does meet the parking requirement as well. Here's a landscaping plan for lot 7, and the landscaping plan for lot 8. And then you can see the elevations here. These do meet our code. They did add some extra windows on these buildings as 3 sides are visible from Redwood Road, so they had to make sure that those 3 sides met that requirement. You can see here renderings. This is the renderings for lot 7. And then these are the elevations for lot 8, which is the larger building. And then there's a rendering there in the top right. We do have the developer here tonight, so if you have any questions for them, they're happy to help answer any of those.
Yeah, does developer want to come forward with a representative?
My name is Forrest Gaskill. I represent the master development for the site. Do you need my address too?
I don't think so, just your name on this
Okay.
one. Do you have anything you want to present to us, or we'll open up to?
I'm here to answer questions. It's been a while since we've been in, so I figured it was worth coming in just to,
Okay.
if you had any questions. But Austin has done a good job of presenting it so far.
Any comments?
I do. So in the staff report, and maybe either one of you can speak to this, it indicates that these, in Lot 7 site plan, that these two units, it's a small 2,700 square foot, one of the suites, I think it was suite B or A, looks like it has a drive-up window that cars can go in around and all that's great. But my question is that it says that these are takeout restaurants. Are there going to be interior seating and eating inside?
That tenant, no.
Maybe, maybe not, right?
As of right now, no.
So the question is if there is, what would be, have we looked at the parking and the maximum number of tables that would be allowed or seats allowed in each? And if so, have we covered that? If not, then we need to make sure, I believe we need to make sure that it stays within code.
Yeah, that's a
as
great question. So we define restaurants, we have two categories for restaurants. We have standard restaurants and we have takeout restaurants. To qualify as a takeout restaurant, they have to be less than 2,000 square feet, and the primary point of service is, people obviously taking it out. We don't have a code that says how many tables they have, right? As long as they meet those two criteria, they could be considered a takeout restaurant.
But they could add some dining, whether it's on the outside, on the sidewalk, or the inside. We see that with some of the others that are primarily takeout.
There's not a lot of space here to add any outdoor dining. They really have, it's really just limited by the ADA requirements. So they have, the sidewalk has to be so many feet wide. They have ADA access. They do have an ADA parking stall in the front of this building. So I don't believe it would, with the current site plan, I don't know how they would be able to put outdoor dining on this.
Or even a couple tables inside, right?
Right.
But will there be a parking agreement, site parking agreements to use all those parking stalls?
Yeah, so this site does use, is it this site that uses some of the parking stalls from Lot 8, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the bottom left of the screen here, you'll see there are 4 parking stalls. Those are technically, that dashed line running through those stalls is the
ADA.
is the line between the two properties.
Oh,
So those are halfway on Lot 8, but they're designated for this building.
Thank you, Austin. Rob, do you have more on that?
no, it's still ambiguous in my mind, but yeah.
Okay, could I ask a follow-up question
Yeah.
to, I think, address Councilmember Taylor's concern? And correct me if I'm getting this wrong, but I think the question is let's say a future user, if they were to have tables and it was reconfigured, would there be adequate parking on this site for the restaurant or the Suite A in total? Do we meet the parking requirements if there was
Yeah.
a
Yes,
similar
so-
type use in the same location?
Yeah, so both of these are, well, so if you come, at the current, if you have 2 suites on this site, they would meet the current requirements. However, if you were to combine those 2 suites into a single use, then maybe they don't meet the requirement at that point. I don't know, depending on how much seating they would add, but
'Cause that
with
would
it
take
being
us- that
2
would take-
suites.
That would take us over the 2,000 square feet, right?
Yeah, so once they surpass the 2,000 square feet, then the restaurant requirements kick in. So as long as they're under that, our code, takeout restaurants, we're not saying they can't have seating on site. They do have some seating, right? But it's not like a dine-in experience,
But
which is
my
different.
concern, the place that comes to mind right off the bat is Handel's Ice Cream,
Mm-hmm.
which I love. But there's seating inside, there's seating outside that actually begins to curve around the corner of the building where the drive-through is. As I was going through there to go to Jimmy John's, I saw there were 2 toddlers that ran across that drive-through, and I had to I was going slow, obviously, so
Yeah.
but it's those kind of things that concern me with these type of takeout restaurants, because I would say that, Handel's is probably under that same definition of takeout, yet there are a lot of people outside and inside enjoying their ice cream.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Handel's is a unique, it's a unique restaurant or whatever you want to call it. You know, could a Handel go in here? Handel's go in here theoretically. I think it could, right? So, I don't know if it would, if that concern of yours would be resolved.
Yeah, and that's really my concerns, that in the future, should they ask for putting a future tenant wanting to put in tables inside and maybe little cafe tables outside, that we would run into a similar problem with lack of parking that we see sometimes in other areas. That's all I had. I don't know that I'm satisfied on it, but I don't know that it's a make or break deal for me at this point either.
Is there enough shared parking across the entire project area to where if there was that issue, there could be additional parking, you know, because of those cross parking easements?
Yeah, so that we've looked at this, a lot of these sites are close on their parking. Lot 8 is showing 24 spaces required. They have 35, plus they are allowed to count 3 of the drive-through as parking spaces, so it's 35 plus 3. So they are exceeding their parking requirement on Lot 8, which is the neighboring lot. And then Lot 7 is exceeding that by 1, the minimum requirement.
So quick math, we're about, what, 11 spots positive based on the current use?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So I guess my question now is, so we can't really stop somebody coming in because they're under the 2,000 or whatever. But I mean, so is there anything we can do? Like, so there's nothing we can do. They can come in. We won't have enough parking, but that's just the end of it.
We do have a change of use application, so whatever user comes in, if it's a different use than what's currently allotted, they would have to apply for that, and then we would check to make sure that they meet code.
Okay.
You know, does.
But like these
how do we
guys, I
classify
mean, we don't know who
Handel?
they
I
are,
don't-
but
Handels, I don't
technically
know.
they could come in and put tables on the inside and tables on the outside, and we can do nothing about parking at that point, right?
So
Can I-
our definition just specifies the amount of sales. So if more than 50% of their sales are from takeout, then they're under the 2,000 square feet. That's the only way we've been regulating it. And
Okay, that was my question.
so,
Yeah.
so other similar businesses that we've classified as takeout were regulated that way as well. And then the code requires 5 per thousand stalls. So retail is 4 per thousand, so it still requires more than retail would require.
Thanks.
I have a question on a different vein, although I'm glad we're looking at this holistically, both site plans. I'm noticing that the drive-through still has that 3-foot hedge. And planning director and I talked about this earlier, but this is possibly needed for safety. I just want the developer to note that we did recently change our city code to not require those hedges in drive-throughs. That may be still warranted for this site just because there's the parking right across. I don't know if you want cars backing into drive-through, but just wanted to note it.
That was our thought. I saw that amendment go through, but we felt that with the spots, like you said, where people would be backing out, it was a good idea to keep that there.
Yeah, and I totally respect that. I don't want to tell you we're not disallowing it. I just want to say that you have the option to choose whether or not to do that in your site plan here. And thank you for that.
So, Sarah, question for you. Even a Suite A and Suite B, because these are going to be leased commercial buildings, right? They're not a condo or would be sufficient. Is that
Right,
my understanding?
correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, I'll take a motion. Actually, can we combine 1 and 2 together, since we discussed them?
I believe you could.
Okay. Get a motion?
I'll move that we approve.
Lance, before you do that, I have a question about 2. Sorry.
Okay, yep, number 2.
I was saving it. So I am actually pretty worried about the drive-through and the 7 parking stalls on the Suite D side of 2. Right now, I know there's the 8 drive-through parking spaces, but I'm just trying to think, like, I don't know if this takeout, does a soda shop fit under that requirement, planners?
Yes.
So
Does it take out?
if it is
Yes.
still, if it's a soda shop or a coffee shop, which would be great for the south end of town, I would be totally appreciate them coming in. With Suite A, I can see a way where you can have additional parking in the parking lot without blocking too many spaces, although it still could block a few. But on lot 8, Suite B, if I'm looking at that right,
Can you go to lot 8?
Lot 8, lot 8, okay.
yeah, sorry, lot 8.
Okay.
I am pretty concerned that the parking lot, the drive-through, again, if Suite A becomes a soda shop or coffee shop, if it's a Starbucks and it's a busy morning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, where do they back up? They back up in front of those 7 parking spaces, and those become, especially with that hedge, those become pretty inaccessible. So that's 7 of their parking stalls, and maybe they're over the parking minimum, so that's okay. I just want to point out that if this is a soda shop, it's very popular. I would love it to be popular. I want it to be a good amenity, but I am worried about the parking in that case.
Councilmember Wilson, can you explain what 7 are you talking about? On
Sorry. So in lot 8,
Yeah.
you know how the
These
drive-through
right here.
goes to Suite A. Can you see that? Okay, I'm on the same page you are.
Okay.
After the last car, if there are more cars, you
Okay.
can see where those cars would go, and they're going to totally block off those 7 parking stalls by Suite D.
Okay. If they come out and they don't go straight west, okay. Yep, okay. I see it.
Which does happen,
So-
by the way, with Swig. I'm sure everybody knows that, but that does
Yeah,
happen.
and so I'm like, it depends. Again, I want this to be a great restaurant. If it is popular, I am concerned about there being 7 or 8 parking stalls that are totally blocked because it's on that side of the building.
Yeah,
No,
so,
I don't want to say they're not on that side of the building, but I am worried about it.
So just to give a scenario, kind of like McDonald's, right? So like McDonald's coming through the parking lot, they're blocked. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's anything we can do about that. I do foresee that being an issue. Or those cars, if they're parked by Suite D, let's say to go in, to a retail space, they won't be able to get out during peak drive-through hours. So
How have we handled this in the past?
I mean, that is 28 and a half feet of width between the end of that parking stall and where the 3-foot barrier is, which is wider than a standard double-sided parking. So if you have parking on 2 sides, that's usually 20, that's a minimum of 24. On here, we're showing 26. This is 28 and a half feet.
Between where the cars are going to be driving through
Between
and
the end of the parking
stalls?
stall on the right-hand side of the screen here, and then where that barrier is. So that's pretty wide
So they'll
that you
still
could
have-
have.
So
the-
essentially, they
You
could,
could still back out.
they could actually stripe that so that it causes that queue to go to the far south, closest to that retaining, is that a
It's like a
elevation
landscape
difference?
median.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. That, then it gives those, 6 spots, or those spots there immediately to the south of Suite D, the ability to back out and then leave.
Yeah.
If they queue up as close to that barrier as possible, the median, whatever we're calling it.
Right, yeah.
I
So maybe
mean,
they
and
need to stripe
that's
it.
and that's great. A Prius can do that, but I don't think an F-150 can. Which is fine. I don't know if it's going to be an issue here. I don't want to make something that's not going to be an issue. I just could see it being an issue.
And we completely see that as well. The hard challenge is we don't have something specific in the code to address that. And then also, we have no idea to know if that will happen, how often that will
Yeah.
happen. They do have 8 stacking stalls in the drive-through lane, which is quite a few, more than other businesses have, actually.
Okay, that's
Even
good to
more
know.
than the examples like McDonald's, for example. So they do have quite a bit of stacking, which I think will help. And you're right, that could happen. We just don't have a way of knowing if it will happen. And
Yeah.
they could, focus on having their employees park there so that during, shift changes usually at a slower time, so they might not have that issue during shift change. There's a lot of different ways they could address that. We could even let the applicant speak to that. I understand your concern completely. We don't necessarily have something in the code to help us with that.
That's helpful. Thank you, Sarah.
Sarah, because you talk about employee shift, but Suite D is where most of those people would be going, right? They'd be attending the Suite D
Well,
business.
any of them could.
I guess, okay.
Yeah,
So
any of
the-
those suites, yeah.
Any of the customers could park
Okay.
anywhere in the lot, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say as a parent of young kids, I try to park where there's a sidewalk. So I only park near sidewalks when I have the option to. So no matter where I was going, I would probably try to park there, but then I might get stuck. And again, appreciate that we don't have this in the code. It might be something worth looking into just because I see this as an issue in certain parts of our city already.
Well, I have a half-ton truck and I wouldn't do it, so I
Yeah.
would just naturally park in a parking spot. And I think someone with the F-450 would be crazy to even try going through a drive-through anyway. So I think that would be the exception rather than the rule. And so I don't have a whole lot of heartburn over that myself.
No, well, I guess I was talking about like someone with a big truck parking in the parking spot and then
Yeah.
trying to back out. Both
Oh,
people are
I
in the
thought you meant
drive-through.
trying to make that turn.
No, going,
No.
backing out of the parking stall, yeah.
Backing out of the parking spot while there's people in line, but
Gotcha.
it may be an edge case. If it meets our code, I will approve it. Something to think about for the future.
Okay, any other comments? Can I get a motion?
You gonna move? Go ahead.
On 1 and 2.
I move that we approve business items 1 and 2 as listed on the agenda. Is there any findings and conditions listed in the staff report?
What was found? The
Yeah.
finding.
So I have a motion from Councilmember Barton, second.
I second the motion.
Second from Councilmember Wilson. Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Councilmember Barton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Wadman, yes. That's kind of weird, huh? So passed. Okay, moving on to business item 3.
Congratulations, that's a nice
you.
development you're doing down
That'd be
there.
great.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
we're excited. I noticed tonight too, you can look out the window and see it. Just have fun.
Oh, that seems fun.
Do you have any applications already? Who you're
None-
targeting?
none that he
I don't know
wants
if we
to
can-
talk about.
Okay, you
Yeah,
can't talk.
He's
We
asking
can't
for
say-
names.
Oh, names, yeah.
I'm trying
I'll
to
tell you
beat
what I
somebody
told the
that's-
Planning Commission, I can't tell you, but if you look at our marketing material, it's not too closely guarded of a secret.
Okay.
I think you said that about the grocery as well, didn't you?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, some months ago. Okay.
And then,
you.
real quick question: I see on some of them that Suite A and Suite B are the same, and some of them they're divided. Do you know if there's 3 or 4 tenants for this space?
I think the parking count will probably limit us, and as staff kind of alluded to, we're tracking that, and we tell people when they show up and ask about spaces, we kind of know what works and what doesn't per the code. So,
Okay.
I
You'll work it out.
anticipate it'll be 2 spaces, but we don't have any kind of clear direction on those two suites right now.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Of course. Okay, business item 3. Award design contract, Pond and Evans Lane expansion.
I'll take that one. Interim, pro tem.
Thank you.
Lance seems happy about it. This item is for design services, so, we're always tracking utility capacities across the city and jumping from project to project. So one of the things we're looking at in this area of the city is expanding our secondary water capacity. So to get ahead of it, while we haven't yet worked with the council on whether this would be a city-funded or developer-funded infrastructure project, one of the strategies we kind of discussed as staff to help, I guess, get ahead of the curve on that conversation was at least funding the design. Particularly in this case, this is an expansion. So the city did the project previously. This is the pond up on Evans Lane. That was a city-funded, completed project. So we think we're best positioned to do the design on this to expand that existing pond. I think right now it's 17 acre feet, and we're almost going to double it to 29 acre feet. That'll help make sure that we have enough storage capacity as development in Zone 1 continues. Both east and west of the river, east of Redwood Road generally. So we solicited bids on our state portal website, and we recommend awarding this to Hanson and Luce in an amount not to exceed $150,000. Great price. They were the ones that did the design previously, so they came in. No one else could touch their price just because they had already done the work and they could do it so much more efficiently.
That's great.
Yeah, love it. Anything?
So, Jeremy, correct me if I'm mistaken, this expansion, is obviously needed, but that retention pond also gives us additional water capacity in case of fire that we can dip into, or is that not true?
Yeah, I
in
mean,
this
one
case?
of the, you know, whether it was deliberate or just a secondary benefit, as we've seen in fire season, is being able to dip those reservoirs. So you're absolutely correct, not only would this bigger reservoir provide capacity for irrigation demand, but knock on wood, if you had a fire, that would be more capacity that they could dip for.
And that's for helicopter drops. It's not tied necessarily
Yeah.
to our drinking water system, which is what fire engines and others would connect to, but.
So, with that capacity increase, what is the capacity increase going to be?
It's going from 17 acre feet to 29 acre feet.
How fast can you fill something like that if we had an emergency?
Generally, if you look at the cycle of our ponds on our SCADA system, it generally is 24-hour cyclical. So generally, during off-peak, which is during the day, actually the opposite for drinking water. We fill those during off-peak, and then they get drained during peak. And actually during peak, we are not only pushing water from our sources, it's not just the pond, it's the pond combined with the sources that usually meet peak demand. On some of the bigger reservoirs, during peak, you know, it may be a week cycle. So you may see during a really bad week, that pond is slowly dropping, and then hopefully, you know, we refill it. So there's no direct answer. It depends on what sources are in place, what things. Generally, we like to see a 24-hour cycle of that pond level up and down, but there are times when we're experiencing extreme heat waves or things like that where you don't quite get back up to where you were the 24 hours before, and you could see it slowly. And then the operators can make adjustments to kind of compensate that if it gets to a point where they're getting concerned. So
Great.
it's on autopilot generally in a sophisticated SCADA system, but that doesn't mean they're constantly tweaking it and making adjustments when they see things that need to be adjusted. Yeah, so.
And one thing to keep in mind is all of these ponds are connected. And so as the pressures go up and down, I mean, if they were to dip this pond, it would probably drop, but then it would probably equalize depending on how the water systems are used. And, you know, they typically dip during the day and those kinds of things.
Can't
So,
fly at night,
yeah. So again, it's a good point. It does serve in those emergency fire
It's a nice
situations.
secondary benefit to having those open
Yeah,
ponds
if
like
we
that.
had a closed system or a culinary system only, that wouldn't be an option.
Right, great.
Jeremy, just curious, and for residents around there, how long from start to finish does that usually take for us to complete this?
We would like to have this pond, you know, again, we still have some negotiations with developers and funding, you know, this is not something that the council has decided to fund as far as the construction goes. We would love to have this pond in service by April of 2027.
Oh, cool, okay.
That's one reason why we are expediting the design, even though the other conversations on the construction funding are still ongoing.
Okay.
I was going to ask how fast we can build it if it helps with fire prevention.
We would have to put it in season for 2027, we would have to have this out to bid around November, December.
Okay.
Okay.
Because it can only happen during
Yes,
winter
of
season.
course.
We
That's
need
a
the pond
secondary-
working by April 15th.
That's secondary to
turn
the
on the water,
primary
yeah.
use, though.
Yeah.
Well, by April 13th, because it takes a day to load
No,
it.
it takes several days.
Oh, we have
but-
to, yeah.
Okay, do you have a motion or any other?
I move that we award the design contract for Pond 8 Evans Lane Expansion Project to Hanson, Allen, and Lush, Resolution R26-39 dated today.
Second,
Okay, Councilmember Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Barton,
yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes,
Councilmember Wadman, yes. Okay, business item 4, award to design contract for Jacobs Ranch, well number 19. Is that you two?
This is back to that same narrative, an area of the city where we're looking and we're anticipating the need for additional secondary source.
Closer to your mic, please.
Anticipating for additional secondary source. This is in the south end of the city. So right now we have the marina at the south end of the city that's providing source. But that marina, we have distribution constraints that can only push that water so far north. So this would be a nice central expansion of the system. The other benefit of this would provide redundancy. So we already have a well in Jacobs Ranch. That's one of the biggest wells from a production standpoint in the city. And it always makes us a little nervous when, you know, it needs to go down for maintenance or whatever. So this would not only provide additional source for growth, but also redundancy. This is another project where we have not yet decided the funding mechanism for the actual project, but we think it makes sense to get ahead of the curve and buy, you know, not start later. Let's get the design going while we're having those funding conversations. This one's a little less urgency. We're not trying to get this one online necessarily by 2027. It may be at 2028 or something like that. But also well drilling can take a considerable amount of time, right? There's a lot of unknowns. So that being said, went through the same process, used the UP3 bidding website, solicited bids from our pre-qualified engineering pools. In this case, we're recommending awarding the bid to Bowen Collins and Associates in an amount not to exceed $100,000. This, again, is just for the well drilling. This does not cover, if we decide to move forward with building a well house or equipping it, that would have to be done under a separate design contract. This is strictly just for the drilling of the well itself.
Great.
Any comment? Questions? Okay, well, do I have a motion?
I move that we approve business item number 4, award of design contract for the Jacobs Ranch Well Number 9 project to Bowen Collins and Associates, Resolution R 26-40, dated today.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay. Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Councilmember Wadman, yes. Councilmember Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay, it's passed. Moving on to business item 5. Award to the contract of supplying and installing. Is that you too, Jeremy?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is in support of the public works site and also the fire station. As you know, we have a fire station right now that's up and running, but we still have a few more things to finish. While that, you know, then that'll be the operations until the permanent one's built, however long that takes. So right now, the fire department is on site 24/7, but we're leaving the gate open. The gate's manual, right? We don't want to necessarily, we can't have someone responding to an emergency jumping out of the ambulance to unlock a gate. So we've long talked about this, but now this is really the time to do it, which is to take that gate and put it on an automated system similar to what we have over at the police station. It would be a card reader. The benefit of that would be it would be automatic. You know, you swipe your card or whatever, and the gate would open and close automatically. The security would allow us to log. We would know if someone entered the site at 3 in the morning, we would have a documentation of whose card was swiped to do that. We initially had gone out and gotten some prices on this, and it was closer to $250,000 or even a little more. We were able to actually self-perform a lot of the work, such as some utility relocates, extending power to that site. So by doing a lot of that work in-house with existing resources, we were able to bid a much smaller scope of work. And then this was the low bidder on that job for $145,000. It's still a little pricey, but these are, you know, this is a big, fairly large size gate, sophisticated system. It needs to happen, you know, anyway, even without the fire department, you know, coming onto our site. This would still be a needed project, but this just kind of made the urgency needing to happen now versus waiting in the future, so.
Jeremy, did you say 145 or is it 140?
145,000. So we recommend entering into a contract with Avtech was the
Okay.
low bidder in an amount not to exceed 145,000.
Okay.
I will have to say that I didn't realize it wasn't automatic. I'm really sorry, Jeremy. And I was feeling really bad for you guys that it hasn't been.
It was
And
always, it's always fun in the winter to be the last one. in.
Yeah, no, I was feeling really bad. So this is great. I think this is obviously definitely needed. Like you said, even without the fire station coming in, I think you guys should have that. That's absolutely needed. So that's.
I took my wife on a drive to show her where the new fire station is, and imagine my surprise on a Sunday when that was open and we drove right through there, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of interesting.
We have staff, well, now that the temporary fire station is staffed, there are people on site. That wasn't the case prior.
Right.
So it would have been locked, you know, 3 months ago.
Right.
Councilmember Taylor has great date nights.
Yeah, my date nights consist of showing my wife around the city all the changes that are coming.
Okay, any further discussion on business item 5? Okay,
I move that we approve Resolution R 2640, approving the contract with Bowen Collins and Associates for design services for the drilling and, sorry.
This is 41.
Sorry, right.
Yeah.
Resolution number R2641, a resolution approving a contract with Avtech for supplying and installing an automated main entrance gate for the Public Works facility.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Councilmember Wadman, yes. Councilmember Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor.
Yes.
Okay,
And I just want to note, thanks to Jeremy for saving $100,000 on that by doing some of the work themselves. That's really great.
Public Works staff, I gotta admit, I didn't do any of the extra work myself.
Yeah, but thank you to your team, whoever has worked on that. So,
I will pass that along, thank you.
thank you. Okay, business item 6, this is our council comments. Does anybody have any comments?
I do, and not that this is a business item, but I have resident informing me over in the Wildflower community that the trucks that are coming from the concrete plant and as well as construction vehicles, the big semis tend to use their Jake brakes, the engine brakes, along coming down and along Chianti to Wild Blossom Harvest Hills area, disturbing the residents there. I know we have a sign coming into the city on that indicates that they're not allowed anywhere in the city, but apparently some of the commercial professional drivers are ignoring that around that neighborhood, and they've asked if there is a way that we can either put up a sign there or have some enforcement. My preference is that if a sign is not too costly to remind them, and then if it continues, then take it to the next step where enforcement of using those engine brakes. Once you have one commercial driver pulled over for that reason, it would go pretty fast that they would all know that we're not going to allow that within the
We
city.
got that email, I think it was from Mr. Garrett Cousins.
Yeah, he's the.
He reached out to us on June 22nd, and we're working with him on that.
Okay, great. He had called me on it, wondered if anything could be done. So I promised him that I would at least ask Public Works what we could do in that regard to assist in that.
I'll when I regroup with the streets department and the engineering department on what they've done exactly, or what the, the sign or whatever, I'll forward that information to you guys.
Great, thank you.
I have something really quick as well. So we all know that we had our soft opening of the North Marina. I don't know if we want to call it, I just know it was a little bit, we had a ribbon cutting for the North Marina. Super amazing. I drove by there twice and took my daughter there as well. I want to see the use, and people are absolutely using it. I loved that. But something I'd like to talk about with the council and staff for the future, hopefully soon-ish future. So after the ribbon cutting, I was able to go on a little walkabout, is that what it's called? Jeremy and I, and he kind of showed me what staff had been doing since we were there in February, as we did our city tour in February-ish, I think it was back in February. Anyway, just the clearing of the old trees and making open areas and the new fence and the paths and everything like that. So amazing. I didn't even know that I knew it was all happening, but I didn't realize how much was happening. But the area is amazing. People are already using it. I love that. But what I'd love to do is get some picnic tables. There's already trees that have shade, so we don't need to worry about pavilions and stuff right now. Plus, people can bring their own shade and stuff like that. But future, again, hopefully sooner than later, because people are already using it over there and stuff like that. But they've done such a phenomenal job with clearing that and making that area super usable for picnickers and people with pets, and people wanting to use the water and stuff like that. I did see somebody out there with the big shade thing as well, right by when I was over there one of the days. And so I'd love to be able to talk about that as a council and see if that we can make that work budget-wise to be able to get some picnic tables out there, or some benches also along the trail. It's such a great trail. I would just want to encourage everybody to go out there when you can. It's super amazing, beautiful. And so I'd love to be able to talk about that in the future as a council.
If you're okay, we'll add a RAP tax potential item
Oh,
for that, for
absolutely.
our upcoming RAP tax
Yeah,
discussion.
that'd be perfect for that. Love
Yeah.
that. And a big shout out, as I talked about that to Jeremy and his team as well. I was just super, I couldn't even believe all the work that had been done. It was amazing. It just made it so usable, and I just hope that the entire city, and Lehigh is so close to Lehigh as well, that they come and use it too. Such an amazing area, and I just was in shock how much they had done.
I heard it got very busy over the weekend.
Oh, it did. I was so happy about that though, because that's what we opened it for.
We might need to build an overflow parking lot.
No, and and there are some things we also need to discuss. This isn't the time, but just signs are posted, but not being followed. But that happens everywhere, stuff like that. But it was being very used, and I love that. That's what we wanted to open it for. So that was great.
The one comment I wanted to give was, there's been a lot of discussions about fireworks and a lot of comments in the links and our public comments from our staff and stuff. And that decision wasn't made lightly. It was done with council, with staff and with the fire department. I want to say thanks to the public. I mean, I heard that there might have been a few here and there, but compared to years past, I could just go up the hill and it was just, the whole skyline was lit up. I want to say thanks to people for understanding and complying. I don't think we had any incidents, did we, Mark, over the weekend or? Chief. Nothing, Chief? Okay. And that goes without saying. We appreciate it. Anything else from anybody? Okay.
I want to dovetail or onto that if possible. I was having dinner with a friend, and my wife and I were having dinner with a friend and his wife. And yes, we don't just do tours of things. We do actually go out to dinner once in a while. And he came up with a suggestion that I thought is worth looking at, because the very next day, there were people posting online about the fireworks, the public fireworks that we do. And as I'm looking out over the lake, it just seems to be something that could be really amazing if we were to use, I know we have fireworks during our splash days, and it gets very close to the 4th of July, but if we could somehow begin to partner with the other cities along the North Shore here, Lehigh, American Fork, and potentially have fireworks on the water that shoot off, and then using these nice facilities like the North Marina, the trail, everywhere along here to watch those fireworks over the water, and even adding things like a boat parade where people decorated their boats and things like that. We could actually end up with something that would be one of the, other than Stadium of Fire, one of the bigger shows that would bring people, residents would love it. Overwhelmingly, people were positive, but bring people into our community that would want to see it, spend money here some time and money during that day that we do something like that. What I'd like to do is, in the future, nothing tonight, but keep this idea alive and well, and seeing if there's something we can do, whether the Utah Lake Authority can help coordinate that, using some of our with Ann and figuring out what we can do, and working with the other cities and see if that's something they want to do.
There's something similar to that, I think, on the Jordan River, or not Jordan River, Jordanelle. They do that boat.
You see that in
they do a boat
cities
parade
all
up at
over.
Bear Lake every year, and
Yeah.
fireworks, depending what time of year up there.
I don't want to take away from splash days, but if there's a way to somehow, we're so close to make that an event that works well with
Annual
that.
tradition, yep, love that.
Mark, any closed meeting?
There's no need for a closed meeting. Did Emma have any?
Emma, did you have any?
Yeah, just on that. Yeah, I definitely would love to look into fireworks around the lake. I think that's a great point. I would also like to know the cost difference. I know that because we do them the Monday of Splash, I've heard that they're significantly less. If staff could bring kind of those numbers to us as a point, I would love to do them. I will say, as a fairly new resident of the city, I was always like, oh, I wish our city did something on the 4th. I always miss the Monday before thing until this year. So I recognize, like, some people do, some people don't. Half our city is at least as new as I am, so they probably are in the same boat. But I also recognize it's a tradition to do a splash. I could go either way. I'd love to know the numbers and what the cost is on that.
Okay, anything else? Any other comments? No closed session, right, Mark? Okay. Okay, without further comment, we will adjourn.
Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem.